On Global TV News Express, Senate screens Professor Ami Puton, nominee vows electoral reforms. In business, Central Bank of Nigeria reports 6% trade surplus as Nigeria's economy strengthens. On the foreign scene, African Union suspends Madagascar after military takeover. And in sports, Nigeria loses 2030 Commonwealth Games hosting bid to India. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, Channel 365 and Star Times, Channel 276. And now, the news in details. Professor Joash Amopiton has pledged to conduct a comprehensive audit of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), focusing particularly on the logistics used during the 2023 general elections. Amopiton made the commitment during his screening before the Senate Committee of the Whole, following President Bola Tinubu's request for the nominee to be confirmed by the Red Chamber. He said the review would help identify the Commission's operational challenges and provide practical solutions in collaboration with relevant stakeholders. Global Television will bring details in our subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, the acting chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, May Abuche Mbu, has reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to deepening transparency and credibility in Nigeria's electoral system. She gave the assurance while addressing civil society organizations during INEC's quarterly consultative meeting in Abuja. Our correspondent, Sadia Yakubu, brings us details.
Agbamuche Mbu, who presided over the session, says the engagement with civil society is crucial for strengthening public confidence and accountability in the electoral process. She commended the civil society organizations for their active participation and continued collaboration with the Commission. Agbamuche Mbu highlighted the continuous voter registration exercise which began in August, noting that turnout has been encouraging across the country. She stressed the process is key to promoting inclusive voter participation ahead of future elections. She further disclosed that INEC has received 171 applications from groups seeking registration as political parties, out of which 14 associations met the criteria to proceed to the next stage in line with the law and INEC guidelines.
The Commission has released a timetable and schedule of activities for the other elections, and some of the activities have already been carried out. The latest being the commencement of campaign by political parties in Anambra State and the FCT.
Representing civil society, Ezenwa Nwagu emphasized the need for improved oversight of subnational elections, noting that the integrity of resident electoral commissioners and returning officers is vital to credible polls.
It's important that a lot of premium is paid on the foot soldiers in Anambra, and by that I mean the resident electoral commissioners and the electoral officers who will be, administering that election.
With the continuous engagement between INEC and civil society, expectations remains high that such collaborations will further strengthen transparency and public trust ahead of future elections. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
Away from electoral matters, President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria has no justification to be poor, stating that the nation's abundant mineral wealth and talented citizens should translate into prosperity. Speaking through the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, at the 2025 Nigeria Mining Week in Abuja, the President said the country must turn its minerals into miracles of development, assuring investors of safety and stability across mining zones. Tinubu emphasized Nigeria's leadership in Africa's resource sector, noting that the continent holds about 30% of global mineral reserves. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has joined world leaders to attend the opening ceremony of the 2025 Akaba Process Summit in Rome, co-hosted by Jordan's King Abdullah II and the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, to deliberate on counter-terrorism and transnational security. His attendance reinforces Nigeria's leadership role in regional stability and its commitment to deepening intelligence-sharing partnership across Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. The summit, which convened president and defense chiefs from Sahel to Europe, is focusing heavily in coordinated response to terrorism and insecurity in West Africa. Away from that, the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, has confirmed that the health condition of the indigenous people of Biafra leader Nnamdi Kanu is not life-threatening, clearing him to medically be fit to continue his trial. The finding followed a court order medical evaluation by the NMA team after conflicting expert reports, leading Justice James Omotosho to rule that Kanu's defense should proceed from October 23 for 6 consecutive days. The judge also granted Kanu's legal team a private consultation in court outside the Department of the State Services chamber premises after concerns were raised about the possibility of surveillance during their meeting. The Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has faulted the federal government's enforcement of the no work, no pay rule on striking lecturers, insisting instead on no pay, no work as its guiding stance. NLC President Joe Ajaero described the policy as unjust and insensitive, saying it was unreasonable to expect productivity from unpaid workers while blaming the government's breach of the 2009 agreement for recurring crisis. He warned that the neglect of education is crippling human capital development and announced a meeting of all education unions on Monday to decide a joint response. The Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, says he will soon declare his political affiliation. The minister stated this at the official flag-off of construction on the main carriageway of Outer Southern Express, OSEX, within the FCT. Our correspondent, Kabir Hassan, reports.
At the flag-off ceremony attended by dignitaries, top government officials, eminent personalities across the country, the FCT minister said he is set to reveal the political platform he will align with. He said the timing will depend on when conditions are right, hinting at strategic calculation ahead of the upcoming election.
I'm very happy, but very soon I will speak to Nigerians. I've been watching on daily televisions and social media people who said, I want to destabilize the party. I'm working for APC. All of them now in APC.
The minister shifting focus to the project at hand, unveiling roads, infrastructure, describing how the work will benefit residents, ease traffic, and boost development across the FCT, while commending President Bola Tinubu of his agenda, stating that Renewed Hope agenda has been impactful to Nigerians.
So for us, every promise made by this administration under the leadership of His Excellency Mr. President, be assured that we shall fulfill all the promises we have made to the people of the FCT.
Wike's dual message today underscores a balancing act, the promise of new political clarity paired with continuous commitment to delivering infrastructure in the nation's capital. Nigerians will be watching closely for his party declaration and for the real impact of this project. Kabir Hassan, reporting for Global TV.
Let's now move to the health sector and tell you that as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the chairman of the Oncology and Cancer Committee of the Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Adamu Al-Hassan Umar, has urged the federal government to expand the scope of the National Cancer Health Fund to cover all hospitals across the country. Global Television's health correspondent, Zara Unasir, will give us the details of that story in our subsequent bulletin. You are watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, Central Bank of Nigeria reports 6% trade surplus as Nigeria's economy strengthens. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back from that break, and if you're just tuning in, this is the live broadcast of News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital. And now to business news, where the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Olayemi Cardoso says Nigeria's economy is on a steady rebound, revealing that the nation's trade surplus has climbed to 6% of gross domestic product due to ongoing macroeconomic reforms by the Tinubu administration. Speaking at the G20 press briefing on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank meeting in Washington, D.C., Cardoso said sound fiscal and monetary policies are driving growth, improving investor confidence, and strengthening the naira through new currency swap frameworks. Now, every year, about this time, farmers across the 44 local government areas of Kano State troop into the Dakata market to trade in sweet potato. Global Television's correspondent Idris Jibrin will give us details in our next bulletin. And now moving to the House of Representatives, where the committee has resolved to investigate the circumstances surrounding the abandoned $35 million modular refinery project in Brass, Bayelsa State, 4 years after huge financial commitments were made to the project without any visible progress. The resolution followed a motion of urgent public importance moved by Billy Osaworo, Edo State. Our National Assembly correspondent, Anita Patrick, reports.
At Wednesday plenary, the House mandated the setting up of an ad hoc committee to probe the $35 million investments made by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board in the proposed Atlantic International Refinery and Petrochemical Limited, and to report back within 4 weeks. The sponsor of the motion, who expressed concern that despite the substantial investment equivalent to cover 50 billion naira, nothing is on ground to show that the refinery ever took off. He lamented that the failure of the project, despite earlier interventions and a petition to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in May 2024, raises serious questions about transparency, accountability, and the management of public funds.
To see that something urgent and important is done, so as to stop this brewing war between Edo State and Delta State. For a stitch in time saves nine.
Members unanimously supported the motion, describing the situation as a case of monumental economic waste that undermines the federal government's efforts towards energy independence and industrial revitalization. The House therefore urged the ad hoc committee to carry out a thorough investigation into the abandoned project and ensure those responsible for the mismanagement of public funds are brought to account. The committee is expected to submit its findings and recommendations to the House within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Anita Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Still talking economic matters, experts have warned that Nigeria's growing food crisis demands urgent and coordinated government intervention, as over 33 million citizens are now facing acute food insecurity. This is a situation recently highlighted by President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Zara Unasir gives us the details. Details of that we brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. And now to news making rounds on the foreign scene. The African Union has suspended Madagascar following a coup by an elite army that ousted President Andry Rajoelina and installed Colonel Michael Randrianirina as leader. The African Union condemned the power grab as unconstitutional, joining the United Nations and international community in calling for a swift return to democratic rule. And Colonel Randrianirina has pledged elections within 2 years, insisting his intervention was to prevent the island nation from collapsing after weeks of mass protests. Kenyan President William Ruto has declared 7 days of national mourning following the death of veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga. Ruto described the late Odinga as a giant of democracy and one of Africa's greatest sons, announcing that a state funeral will be held in his honor.
I have declared a 7-day period of national mourning, during which the national flag shall fly at half-mast across the Republic of Kenya and in all our missions abroad. As a mark of respect, I have postponed all my public engagements for the coming days, and I ask all other public servants and leaders to do the same, so that we can join the nation in this period of mourning and deep reflection. Our former Prime Minister, Raila Amolo Odinga, shall be accorded a state funeral with all attendant honors.
The late Odinga died on Wednesday in India after suffering cardiac arrest while receiving medical treatment. In the meantime, huge crowds have gathered across Kenya as the body of revered opposition leader Raila Odinga was repatriated from India, forcing the authorities to suspend flights and change memorial plans. As large As a large number of mourners gathered at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to greet the coffin, the Civil Aviation Authority announced that it has temporarily suspended operations to restore and ensure safety. The body was initially taken to Parliament, but with supporters swarming and climbing up the gate, the authorities decided to relocate the coffin to Kasina Stadium. Away from Kenya to the United Kingdom, where the government has announced a major sanction package targeting Russian oil producers, Rosneft and Lukoil, alongside numerous vessels linked to the so-called shadow fleet. Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper told Parliament these are among Britain's strongest measures yet to tighten economic pressure on Russia. Our foreign correspondent, Uyi Agbomofuegbe, completes the report.
The new sanctions list includes Rosneft and Lukoil, two of Russia's largest oil companies, as well as over 50 tankers tied to shipping networks that evade existing restrictions. Yet Cooper warned that energy revenues must not fuel Moscow's war efforts, saying the UK will not allow Russia hide behind sanctioned vessels and complicity from third-party traders.
With immediate effect, we are sanctioning Russia's two largest oil producers, Rosneft and Lukoil, the two biggest Russian energy firms ever targeted by UK sanctions. Part of an extensive new sanctions package of 90 targets, including refineries around the world that are responsible for importing Russian oil, suppliers of drone and missile components, and 44 shadow fleet vessels.
Cooper emphasized the need to target not just oil producers, but the shadow fleets operating in the margins of global trade, asserting that there should be no safe haven for ships facilitating sanctioned oil flows. The package also extends sanctions to complicating actors, including companies in India and China that enable Russian oil to enter global markets. She further stressed that this move sends a clear signal: Russia must be barred from participating in mainstream energy markets.
We're also strengthening our coordination with the EU, who are finalising a new wave of sanctions, and we are urging countries across the world to go further, working with us in targeting Russian oil and gas.
She reiterated that alongside these sanctions, the UK will ramp up diplomatic efforts and pressure on states that facilitate illicit oil trade, insisting that unilateral sanctions must be backed by international coordination and enforcement. With these measures, London seeks to strangle a vital revenue stream for Russia's war machine, making a bold statement on economic warfare and signaling the UK's intent to lead the sanctions push on energy. Uyi Agbomofuegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
And now talking sports, where India's city of Ahmedabad has been chosen ahead of Abuja, Nigeria, to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games, marking the event's centenary edition. Commonwealth Sport said the recommendation will be ratified in November, citing Ahmedabad's strong infrastructure, including the 132,000 capacity Narendra Modi Stadium. It is the second time Abuja has lost the hosting right after missing out on the 2014 Games, while India will stage the event for the second time since Delhi in 2010. And on to football, where Argentina has booked a spot at the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup final after edging Colombia 1-0 through a Mateo Silvet strike in Santiago. The Albiceleste of Argentina will now face Morocco on October 20 as the North Africans became the first team from their region to reach the final after defeating France on penalties. The result gives Argentina an 8th final appearance, while Morocco aims to become the third African nation to win the Youth Championship. And now to boxing, where former heavyweight champion Tyson Fury has turned down the prospect of an all-British fight with Anthony Joshua, opting instead for a third showdown with Alexander Usyk. His promoter, Frank Warren, said Fury is determined to avenge his 2 losses to the Ukrainian, maintaining he still has plenty to offer in the tank, despite speculations about retirement. The decision dims hopes of the long-anticipated Joshua-Fury clash, even as both fighters near the twilights of their careers. Now, as Global TV News Express comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. Earlier in the news, we brought to you that Professor Josh Amopitan has pledged to conduct a comprehensive audit of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), focusing particularly on the logistics used during the 2023 general elections. In business, Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Olayemi Cardoso says Nigeria's economy is on a steady rebound, revealing that the nation's trade surplus has climbed to 6% of gross domestic product due to the ongoing macroeconomic reforms by the Tinubu administration. On the foreign scene, the African Union has suspended Madagascar following a coup by an elite army unit that ousted President Andry Rajoelina and installed Colonel Michael Randurana as leader. And from sport, India's city of Ahmedabad has been chosen ahead of Abuja, Nigeria, to host the Commonwealth 2030 Games, marking the event's centenary edition. Now that's it on Global TV News Express. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365, and on Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms, now showing on your screen, using at Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.